forward.
So today we're going to be discussing social isolation. Imagine a world with no human interactions. Everything is run by technology, and being physically present with another human is a story of the past. A folk tale told by elders speaking of days when people would be physically present with others, stories of parties or intimate gatherings spent enjoying with the company of loved ones on a consistent basis. Now everything is run by an outside source. Technology runs every aspect of our lives. People speak to their phones as opposed to their partners. The world of mental health has exploded, and new cases are presenting themselves daily. Personally, this is not a world I want to be a part of, nor how I envision my future, but since COVID-19, there has been a true wake-up call to the dangers of socially isolating and how damaging this can be on one's mental health and our society as a whole. While this may appear to be a dramatization of the problems that could occur, I feel as though my fears about society are rational. Socialization is a problem that is growing daily in the world of COVID. More problems are arising due to this unspoken problem, and mental health issues are rising, and it all begins with shutting oneself off from the rest of the physical world. While I'm in no way an expert on this topic, I do work with a youth population that many of their problems arise from social isolation. Many of these youths turn to video games to occupy their free time, initially not an issue, but after time, these kids were so consumed by their games that they were not prioritizing physical social interactions and only lived in the reality of their games. These issues then escalated to porn addiction and criminalistic activities. Now, to many, this might seem like an extreme jump, but when one is isolated, especially at a young age, they struggle with forming healthy relationships with both adults and peers in their own age range. They do not develop social skills, which makes it harder for them to have healthy interactions outside of their games or phones. Working in the mental health field, I have seen staff members who have also struggled through COVID-19 with not being able to see family members or worrying about spending time with their spouses or parents throughout quarantine, suffer an escalation in their own mental health symptoms. With COVID rates increasing each day, this topic is relevant to anyone that this could affect. From those who are full-time students, work full-time, work from home, etc., are all subject to be affected by this issue. Socialization is a serious problem that, if humanity is not careful, can cause severe damage. One of the most glaring problems is the negative impact that isolation has on one's mental health, the damage that can be done to human relationship skills over time, as well as the increase in criminalistic behaviors that can occur from social isolation. While the fear of COVID is very real and alive inside all of us, it is still important to understand that as human beings, we need the physical presence of other human beings, and our health is dependent on this. Social isolation is a problem that does not have much research done on the topic, but numbers and research are rising as the pandemic has shown us that there are real health problems that can arise from isolating oneself from others. This is especially important to know as it can cause long-term damage to one's brain later on down the road. When people do not have social interactions, there is an increase in mental health symptoms. Many studies have shown that isolating oneself causes an increase in depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, along with proven health heart problems, as well as weakened immune systems. Many make the argument that the increase in these symptoms are mostly related to elevated stress levels, which isolation makes worse over time. Ivanov, a New York-based psychiatrist, states that the longer period of isolation, the more likely it is for individuals to show signs of anxiety, loneliness, and depression, and other mental deficits. To piggyback off of that, a French scientist, Michael Seffray, is known for isolating himself in a cave for over 6 months, which is the longest self-isolation experiment in history. During this time, he documented that he struggled with forming cognitive thoughts, and after a few months, he even made an attempt to befriend a mouse due to him desperately desiring companionship. This experiment is one of the longest documented, but others who have worked in fields of isolation, such as Antarctic researchers, astronauts, and prisoners, all reported similar symptoms when isolated. These symptoms include cognitive decline, confusion, personality changes, and increased episodes of anxiety and depression. Social isolation does not affect just one's personal mental health, but can also cause problems in people's ability to maintain healthy relationships. When people isolate themselves from one another, it makes social skills decrease. So for those who are single, it may especially be challenging during the time of COVID, where individuals are asked to quarantine in their homes and do not have interactions with those outside of their immediate household. This is especially hard to do research on and prove in a legal setting, as it is considered unethical to isolate people from others, making experiments hard to execute. With the pandemic, we have a bit more research to prove the negative effects that can occur from socially isolating. With a decline in mental health, there is an increase in substance abuse and unhealthy coping skills. When one is unable to cope in a healthy manner, it makes it challenging to maintain any kind of healthy relationship. Some studies have been done over those who have been incarcerated, specifically those in solitary confinement, and deprived of sensory stimulus, have had a decrease in their memories, obsessive intrusive thinking, and in some severe cases, hallucinations and developments of other psychotic diagnoses. While mental health is of the utmost importance to prioritize, there are also benefits from receiving physical touch from other individuals. There are multiple parts of your brain that are triggered when you receive physical touch from another person. Your prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that assists in decision making and social behaviors and has proven reduced in individuals who have been socially isolated. The hippocampus and amygdala, which are part of the brain that is damaged when trauma occurs, appear smaller in those who have been socially isolated, and these individuals have been proven to have impaired memory and learning skills. Physical touch can suppress the parts of our brain releasing chemicals that help calm our nervous systems down. The chemical cortisol, which is the stress hormone, can be dispensed when someone receives physical touch. Decreasing stress assists the brain in functioning properly, which in turn increases the functioning of all of our systems. Just as in adults, infants are in desperate need for physical touch to keep their nervous systems regulated. The vagus nerve is the one that connects the brain to the rest of the body and the nerve that sends the brain signals to slow down. When someone receives physical touch, this nerve is activated and sends messages to the brain letting it know that it is not in distress and that it is able to relax. Stress has been proven to be a silent killer, and any way that one can relieve stress in their life should be taken into consideration while operating in their day-to-day lives. Social isolation is a problem that has increased during the time of COVID-19 and is a problem that causes increases in mental health, assists in people obtaining poor social skills, and especially in our younger generations, and science has proven that physical touch increases health benefits and our lifespan. During this challenging time in trying to keep everyone safe from a virus, while also taking care of our own selves, it is especially important to remember that isolation is a type of lifestyle that can become addicting and dangerous. This can lead to an increase in substance abuse, not maintaining healthy relationships, as well as causing physical damage to one's body and mental health. People need to remember to stay safe during these times in all aspects, but especially important to take care of oneself, and mental health should be a priority without any feelings of guilt surrounding it. Take care of yourself and loved ones, no matter what that means to you, even if society is telling you to do the opposite.